Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. God has given us unlimited treasures in His Word. Every time we open it, we can discover a new treasure or admire an old one. What will we find today? Here's Carla Early with Treasure Hunt in the Word.
The Ten Commandments can be divided into two parts. The first four direct us toward loving God. Have no other gods, don't make an idol, don't take God's name in vain, and keep the Sabbath, the Lord's day, holy. And the last 6 commandments direct us toward loving our neighbor. Honor your parents, don't kill, don't commit adultery, don't steal, don't lie, don't covet. So when someone asked Jesus what the greatest commandment was, he said in Mark 12:29-31, "The first of all the commandments is this: Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. This is the first commandment. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandment greater than these." Jesus had 2 commandments, but Paul, under the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, says, "Through love serve one another. All the law is fulfilled in one word: you shall love your neighbor as yourself." In other words, loving God's people demonstrates our love for God. Our love for people who Jesus died for comes out of our love for God. Jesus talked about this a lot. He told us, "Do to others as you would have them do to you," for this sums up the law and the prophets. You may remember the story of the Good Samaritan in Luke 10, as Jesus illustrated what he meant by love your neighbor. The Samaritan, who had every right, culturally speaking, to hate the Jews, showed love for an injured Jewish man. That love cost him time and money, but he freely gave it all as he demonstrated love. At the end of that story, Jesus told his listeners, "You go and do likewise." Jesus told us, "Love your enemies, bless those who curse you, do good to those who hate you, pray for those who spitefully use you and persecute you." He was all for enemies becoming brothers. In John 13:34, Jesus unveiled a new commandment, which wasn't necessarily new, but it had been demonstrated for us in a new way, through how Jesus himself lived his life. He said, "A new commandment I give you, that you love one another, as I have loved you, that you also love one another. By this all will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." Love for others is the defining characteristic of a follower of Christ. Our love for others comes directly out of our love for God. The short book of 1 John mentions love 36 times. Let me read you a few verses. 1 John 3:14 says, "We know that we have passed from death to life because we love the brethren. He who does not love his brother abides in death." So loving others is proof of our salvation. 1 John 3:17 and 18 says, "Whoever has this world's goods and sees his brother in need and shuts up his heart from him, how does the love of God abide in him? My little children, let us not love in word or in tongue, but in deed and in truth." Our love is proved by our actions. In 1 John 4, he says, "No one has seen God at any time. If we love one another, God abides in us, and his love has been perfected in us." In other words, the world doesn't see God, but they see us, and our love toward each other and toward them reflects God to them. We are God's hands and feet in this world. They see who he is through us. 1 John 4:20 and 21 tells us, "If someone says, 'I love God,' and hates his brother, he's a liar. For he who does not love his brother whom he has seen, how can he love God whom he has not seen? He who loves God must love his brother also." Pretty strong commandment, isn't it? How do you love God by loving people? Does your love for people reflect your love for God? Who can you show God's love to today?
You can contact us at treasurehuntintheword@gmail.com. We'd love to hear the treasures God has given you through His Word. You can listen to other episodes on our website, which you can find in the description below. Thank you for listening, and remember, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.